Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate Marketing and Coffee. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm here as your host, Ed Troxell, with my lovely co-host.
Amanda Condyles.
And we are here with this mini series, Real Estate Marketing and Coffee, where we go live each week, Mondays at 8 a.m. Pacific on Facebook, LinkedIn, and today we're doing a special stream over on Clubhouse to give it a test there.
What up?
And yeah, and last week, if you joined us for our episode or you caught it on the replay, you know that we covered a little bit about lead generation and what the best strategies are for attracting leads. And also something else that happened, which was my Instagram account getting shut down for no rhyme or reason. 7 years of content pretty much poof, gone, just non-existent.
So fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's been a blast trying to get that account back, and thankfully, I don't rely solely on Instagram.
Mhm.
However, we know there are a lot of you out there that do, and that run your business off of that, and these are those moments that you really have to understand they can happen to you. Hopefully they don't, but it's probably just a matter of time. So that's why we're stressing the importance of making sure you're on social media, but you're not relying 100% on building and running your business through the social platforms.
Well, I think learning this with you, Ed, has been cool because it's been a fuel to our conversation, if you will, like not fun for you. And we've learned a lot about how we need to take some of this offline and just strategies around that. So we've kind of gotten an inside glimpse, which is super cool.
Yeah, we're getting firsthand experience.
Well, you definitely are.
Yes.
I'm getting front row seats with popcorn, but
there you go. and part of that popcorn experience, just so everyone knows, is that I have had to, well, I didn't have to, but I wanted to twice submit to Instagram that I want my account back. And the way that they do this is, at least in this experience, is that they are sending me a code, not to my text, not to my phone like normal, but we've upgraded that experience because apparently that's not good enough. They send a code to my email with specific instructions that I need to write that code on a piece of paper in my handwriting with my username, with my full name, and I have to take a picture of myself
to prove
holding
it's you.
up
Oh my
the
gosh.
paper with my hand and my face clearly lit.
I'm surprised they don't just ask for your social security number or your
That would
401k account information at this point.
Yes, that would have concerned me so much, Amanda. I don't think I would have gone through that part of it because
For
that just
sure.
freaked me out.
But they're asking a lot. It's interesting.
Yes, and not giving me anything in return. So fingers crossed we'll hear something this week. I'm not holding my breath, but it would just be nice to get back to what I built. So that being said, we are going to be having a special guest join us this week to talk about the importance of using social media to grow your email list and how you can start doing that today. So let's go ahead and bring on our special guest, and we'll have them introduce themselves, and we'll carry the conversation on from there. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys? So nice to be here.
So good to see you. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone, and then we'll dive into today's conversation.
Sure. So my name is Allison Profit, and my business is Profit Coach. I have a background in HR, operations, sales, marketing, and coaching. And I'm a holistic business coach. So I integrate life and business coaching strategies to help small business owners do their business in a more heart-centered, soul-aligned way, but also teaching them very practical skills that they need, including email marketing. So the reason that I'm here to talk about email marketing today is I actually spent some time working in a sales position at Constant Contact, which is one of the largest digital marketing companies. So I got the inside scoop to the email marketing world, and I'm really passionate about talking about the importance of growing your email list. And so can't wait to dive in.
Awesome.
I love it. And so for all of those who are thinking about starting their email list, hopefully many of you have already started it. Maybe you haven't used it in a while, you haven't sent anything out, but hopefully at some point you have started it and maybe collected a few email addresses, or at the very least you have an account with something like Constant Contact, MailChimp,
Compound,
MailerLite. I mean, there's
yeah.
so
There's so
many.
many.
Yeah, so many out there. But hopefully you have something set up. And if you don't, then let this be the first thing you do today.
It's a sign. This is a sign, everybody, that you ought to be doing
You've been
something.
waiting.
Yes.
Yes. And so when it comes to social media, so we're using social media, we're on it all the time. And what's that like next step to try to get out of the social hamster wheel, I guess you could say?
Yeah, well, first I'd like to share a little bit of story around my own business's journey of like using social, like not really doing much with social media, then doing a bunch of stuff with social media, and then moving away from social media. So I'm not just speaking from a place of like, hire me because I teach email marketing. I actually also did try the social strategy, but I used it in a way to leverage growing the email list. So when I left Constant Contact, I actually went to start a business with a friend of mine. That didn't work out. So 4 weeks later, I turned around and started my own business. And I actually started my business doing email marketing strategy consulting. So my business became profitable because people were like, I want to do this, but I have no idea how to do it. And so my business growth strategy really was more just doing networking and speaking and meeting people, and then making sure that I was also putting that stuff in a list so that I could leverage it. With social media, I started using social media in June of 2020 in a very consistent way, with my Amanda Ed, from Social Hero Brands, Amanda Mundo. And so for the last 6 months of that year, I leveraged social media in a really, really concentrated way. And the reason that it's important to be leveraging social media, not just to gain awareness and build engagement, but to grow your email list, is we all know that you're not in control. And so there's algorithms and there's, moderated stuff that happens that shut your account down or put your account on pause. And I mean, how many times have you also like all of a sudden realized that some setting got changed and now you don't see the things that you used to see? So there's a lot of different things that are happening that as a business owner can be a little bit, you're pouring a lot of time, energy, and attention into doing the social media stuff, right? Creating the content, scheduling the things, watching your analytics, to not have the full control and be able to really manage the outcome and see all the specifics that you can see when you are doing email marketing through a very like robust platform. You're sort of just like doing all these efforts and it's like, I hope it works. Like, I hope it's happening. And so coming into 2021, I moved away from a more formal strategy with social. And I instead used my virtual summit as a way to grow my list and grow my business. And certainly I think everything should be fit together. So if you're using social, the goal is to drive people to your list because your list is yours and you always have it and you can do things with it.
That's a really good point about making sure, like from a systems perspective and from just a client perspective, that everything's integrated. So the whole point of social media, right, is to connect, whether with clients or friends or whoever, but then to make sure that translates in a way that we can continue to utilize it and leverage it.
Yeah. And
if you may put that.
And if you think about it, with regards to social media, we all know it's a pretty noisy environment. Yes, but when you're in your inbox and you're opening an email, you're right there. You're like in that email. And there's a lot of people. I mean, how many times do you guys look at your inbox?
all day long.
Almost obsessively.
Right. Yeah. So, how many people take email inbox breaks
Yeah.
versus people that are like, I'm going to delete the apps from my phone and
Yep.
I'm going to take a social media break. Like, people don't take email breaks, they do take
That's
social
true.
media breaks. And so, and I think especially as the world is sort of moving into places where there, maybe people are getting frustrated by Instagram shutting their account down. I just talked to a friend of mine
Yeah.
who's actually has real estate investing as her focus, and her LinkedIn account got shut down.
Oh no.
And it's like, she's
Yep.
like, that was my entire business development strategy, and it's gone, right?
Jeez.
And
Go ahead,
and
Ed.
and it's funny because I met her. She actually also worked at Constant Contact, and hey, if you're watching, she knows who she is. And she had sort of moved away from growing her email list, even though she knows, right? She knows
Yeah.
that that's the thing, and is now like, damn, that really sucked that I
Yeah.
stopped doing that. So it's like really making sure that it
Mhm.
is important. Email's been around since, I don't know, more than 20 years. Constant Contact has been around for more
Mhm.
than 20 years. And so it's not gone anywhere. It's not a trend. It's not a hip thing, like,
Yeah.
and think about MySpace. I mean, MySpace is a place that it was one of the first social platforms, and there were a lot of artists and people that
Yeah.
did their whole business on MySpace. And then one day it was just gone.
Yeah.
The whole platform was just gone, and they, couldn't do what they did before. So I just am really passionate about informing and educating people about the importance of it. And if you feel like stuck or overwhelmed by it, like, it doesn't need to be. I used to be
Yeah.
super overwhelmed by all the business things. I tried to start my business 4 times unsuccessfully before I started this business. So,
And let me ask you, it's kind of a two-part question here. Is one, let's talk a little bit about the summit situation that you went, the route that you went
yeah.
to build the email list, because that's important. People are probably thinking, oh, well, I'm doing a summit, this year, next year, or in the future. Maybe this is something I can do. So let's talk about that, and then afterwards, we'll revisit the same question, but more of a, I don't want to do a summit because that's way too much. I just
Hmm.
want to get people on my list type thing,
Yeah.
just so that way we have two kind of extremes for everyone who's tuning in because they might be in
Yeah.
places.
Sure. I kind of want to like change the order of answering your
Yeah,
question,
yeah,
if I
please go for
may,
it.
because I actually grew my list beforehand, and I actually feel like talking about email list growth and like consent is a really important place to start,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of people that are like, well, I have to have like a double opt-in and all these
Right.
things. And so in the United States specifically, we don't have the kind of email privacy laws that exist in Europe and Canada.
Mhm.
So if you're in a business that does have audiences in, those regions, there are different laws that apply to how you do opt-in and privacy and all of those pieces. But you're speaking with real estate agents. I suspect most of them are based here in the United States. So I'm just going to focus about US specific email. So the way that email marketing it works, in particular at Constant Contact, so again, I'm also going to just lean on that, is there's
Yeah.
two different kinds of consent. You can have what's called implied consent or express consent. So we're all very familiar with express consent. If you go and you fill out this thing that says like, I want to sign up for your event,
Mhm.
or I'd like to grab your 5-tip freebie lead magnet type thing, right? I want the 5 tips on how to grow my real estate business. And you click on the thing and you fill out the form, and then the download of the tips is there, or you get an email.
Yeah.
That's called express consent. You're expressly saying, I want to hear from you.
Mm.
Implied consent is, I'm out at an event and I hand you my business card. I am implying that I am giving you consent to put me in your contact database. So there's a lot of people that think that like they can't just take their business cards and put them in their email list. Some people say like, well, I don't want to do that, I'm spamming them. But that's why using a platform is something you really want to do, because then people can
Yeah.
easily unsubscribe. And so you do want to be careful. You don't want to be like mass spamming people, but put them in your list and then let them get your welcome email or let them get
Yeah.
your newsletter, And then if they want to opt into other parts of your list, they can. So I started growing my business really more through that method. Was I was going out, I was doing networking. I didn't actually have a good lead magnet because I was just pounding the pavement. I didn't have a website. I did have a constant contact account because I'm like a lifer, right? But the way to grow your list outside of having like a big event or anything like that really is like use the contacts that you're gaining through whatever the business development channels are that you're doing. Does that make sense? And it sounds like, oh, well, how do I do that? It's like, well, how many of you have stacks of business cards, right? And you're just one-off emailing people, which is fine, but adding them into a database of some sort allows you to then have a strategy to then mass communicate to your people, not in a spammy way. We want to be conscious of having some kind of strategy around it. Did that answer that first, or the second question that I opted to answer first?
Yeah. No, I think it totally
Absolutely.
does. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. And then, so the second thing is about virtual summits, or events, right? It doesn't need to be a virtual summit. It's just like some sort of event. So the thing I love about events, especially where you're featuring other people, is you can leverage other people's audiences. And that's exactly how Ed and I actually really started working together. We met on Lunch Club, which is like an awesome place to go and do networking. And then you could add those Lunch Club people to your list, right? And you can ask them if they're okay with it. That is something that I do also. But if I forget to do it, I just put them on my list, right? Because if it was a great conversation, if it was not a great conversation, then I don't want to talk to them. I don't want them on my list, right? We have choices here. But the cool thing about running events is that you have the ability to really, really expand your audience by leveraging other people's audiences. So I ran the Soulful Entrepreneur Summit. The first one was in January of this year. We're in the process. I'm sure if you follow Ed, you've seen his marketing, and Ed Troxell Creative is also one of our sponsors, which we're so grateful for. He's been very helpful with our website stuff. But what you're really doing through that process is you're giving value to them and to the audience, and you're growing the list through that. So you're giving them potentially the marketing materials, like, hey, here's some graphics and here's what I want you to say. You don't need to recreate the wheel. You can swipe these things, and then you can go and post it and get people to register for a ticket. And so we grew our list through the summit in January last year by 220 people. So it was a super success last year because we weren't just marketing to our people, which, I mean, quite honestly, it is a big event, right? And so we did do some marketing, but a lot of the marketing happened through our partners, the people that were speaking, because that's a win-win-win, right? Like, it's a win for us. If they bring people in, it's a win for them if they bring people in, and it's a win for the community of people that are coming to your event, because events are better when there's more people there. Not always, but for that kind of thing, it was really more about the energy. And so now we're able to stay in touch with those people. They know what we're about, and if they don't like it, then they can unsubscribe. People get real nervous about, like, I don't want to bother people. It's like, well, how many times do you go through your email inbox and do a list, cleanup, right? You're like, I don't want to hear from these people, and you unsubscribe. You have that power. And so, I
don't ever feel like, if Bath and Body Works emails me because I opted in for a coupon or something, like, I don't ever roll my eyes at it. I just delete it if I don't care, like, I probably delete 9 out of 10 of them, and don't use that as a way to deter you from an email list, but I don't ever have a negative thought about it. Like, it just is, cleaning up your junk is like the first thing you do when you open your email in the morning. It just is. So
I'm a fan of simplicity. Like, if you go to my website, which I'm in the process of redoing, but one of my mottos is like the KISS method. And I like to say, keep it soulfully simple. I send usually one email a month to my list. And I have a great story about this, because oftentimes as business owners, we might be like, well, first off, if I'm using my email list, I need to like have tons of, things that I'm doing. And I am more of a, simple is better type of gal. And so I went to a networking event about like 2 months ago, and it was a Chamber of Commerce luncheon, and I was sitting at a table. There was 3 other business owners there. Actually, they weren't all business owners. There was like some also just like people in that worked at local businesses. And this guy was sitting across from me, and as I introduced myself, he's like, "What's your name again?" He's like, "Oh, Allison Profit. My business is Profit Coach." And he's like, "I'm on your email list." And he's like, "I think we've met before." And I had met him in January 2020
Oh, cool.
at I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado. So it was our Fort Collins Startup Week. And he had come to a presentation I gave. And he's like, "I love your emails." And I was like, "What?" Because again, like I'd never heard from him other than I met him at that thing. And I didn't even remember. I was like, "I'm so sorry," because the pandemic happened shortly after that. So, and he was like, "You have like really good things to say." And he was like, he made it really, really clear to be like, "No, you don't understand. I get a lot of newsletters and I actually open yours and read them all the way down." And he actually said something. He was like, "Weren't you living in Pennsylvania? When did you come back?" Like, I mean, he knew things. It was crazy. And so even if it doesn't turn into a client, that's not what this is about. Like I teach a lot about sales. And so I like to say, like, detach from the outcome. It's about awareness building. This man who I met, like a year and a half ago is regularly reading my emails. And I mean, that was just mind blowing to me and very affirming that like when you find the thing that you love, like do that thing. So your emails don't need to be scary and complicated. I'm a long form writer, just like I'm a long form talker. And people usually like how I write. So I found my way. If you're a short writer, then write short. Like just be your authentic self in how you're doing your videos like Ed teaches, or your social media or your email. Just be yourself, be your soulful, authentic self. And that's
the biggest thing
going to come across in whatever channel it is.
Well, I love that you're saying keep it so simple, because I think so often we get overwhelmed by thinking it needs to have all the things. And there was this study done in grocery stores about sampling food, where if you give them, say, 15 samples, inevitably they'll buy next to nothing. You will have no revenue on the 15 samples. But if you offered 5, you'll increase what you would traditionally make. I don't remember the exact statistic, but they just show less is more essentially. So by providing less options, people hone in on something. So in this case, the sample and an email list, they hone in on you or whatever your message that you're delivering on. Otherwise, you overwhelm people. Like I'm very much the person that if you send me like there's 18 different paragraphs in your email newsletter, I'm not going to read one word of it. But if it's, just 2 or 3 things that you really want me to get and that are providing value, like that's amazing.
Yeah. And don't change your strategy just because somebody says like, "Oh, I don't read your emails. They're too long."
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, then they're just not your people. Like, that's fine. Like, not everybody is your people. Like, be okay with that, Like, Amanda, if you like short emails, you might be like, "Oh, I don't like yours." But mine are very, like, storytelling oriented. So a lot of times people like the story, right? They're drawn in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't change just because somebody says, like, "Oh, I prefer this," or "I prefer that." And I think that that's what happens when people hire business coaches and consultants. They're, like, taking their advice specifically on like, this is exactly how you should do it. And what I like to do is I like to say like, well, what are your hobbies? What do you resonate with? And I think that like that strategy is like, as real estate people, when you think about how do you like to be sold to, how do you like to be marketed to, then if you're able to then do that stuff in the way that is better for you, it's going to be more aligned. You're going to be more willing to do it because it doesn't feel dissonant. That's actually what my email newsletter is going to be this month, is discerning the difference between discomfort and dissonance.
Ooh, okay.
Because,
that's good.
Yeah, like dissonance is that thing that like we're feeling like, "Oh, I don't want to do this," right? Most people feel that way about sales and marketing. Yeah. It's like, but if you find a way that is resonant with you, it's going to be more impactful, and it might be uncomfortable, right? But that's different than dissonance.
Yeah.
So it's like finding finding that way that aligns with you. And if you are hiring somebody that's like, "No, you have to follow X, Y, and Z," don't be afraid to kind of tune in and say, like, that's cool, but like, that doesn't resonate with me. Yeah. That might be a mindset thing, but it might actually be it might be a dissonance thing that you want to pay attention to. And so I think just not taking somebody's advice at face value and just saying like, is this me? Is this my way?
When you brought
And
up
this,
a couple, go ahead, Amanda.
no, you go ahead.
I was going to say, you brought up a couple really interesting points there. Just to touch on a few, is long versus short, because in the beginning I started with short because I know I was like stressed out, worried people weren't going to pay attention to the email, so I wanted to make it short and sweet. But I dreaded writing I do a weekly newsletter, and I actually hate the word newsletter, but it's like the only term it seems like that covers the bases and that everyone understands.
Yeah.
But I started with short, and it just didn't feel in alignment with me. And then when I probably maybe 6 months ago now, I switched up the newsletter to be more of what I'm now calling like an e-magazine, because I have sections and it just works better for me in terms of providing the different tips and the tricks and the tech and just keeping people aligned so that there's a variety for everyone to look at and see what they want. So that helped, and then that got me the awareness part with my audience. Like, people were responding. I love this. I actually look forward to this. I read it all the time. And that was the first time that I really had more of a mass amount of responses than I had before. So switching up how it works both for yourself and checking in with your audience is huge. The other thing that you brought up there too was the fact that this is one, of course I have to throw in video. This is one where I think would be really cool if this was of course, alignment with you, or if this is somebody who's listening to this, take this as well, is you write that long email, you send it, but how cool would it be to have an accompanied video, or maybe you do it as a live video the following week, and then tell people to get on your email list, like being able to do that, because now you've taken one piece of content and now you're repurposing it into other formats. So
when you can send it in ways where because I used to work with an agent who wanted every single email we sent to have a video, and then it would have the transcript. And so if he was telling a story like your emails, it would be, a video of him telling the story, and then he would pay to have it transcribed and then just go back in and kind of make sure it all was proper English and that it got the right stuff, at least relatively. And then he would send it. And then that way he could capture, I always thought this was brilliant. He could capture both the people who were more inclined, like me, to turn on a video, or the people who were more inclined to read their words. Because he was convinced some people have jobs that you can't listen to stuff at work, and I'm going to be emailing them while they're at work. Right. And so now I can capture them both ways. And I love what you're saying, Ed. Now you can repurpose it. So now you can take that story that you've shared, both in written format and in video format, and do all kinds of stuff with it, which is super cool.
Yeah. And I think I love what you said, Ed, because I do this. And I don't, Ed and I have had some conversations about video. I get a little overwhelmed by it, because it's like the tech stuff is just kind of like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. One day, right? I mean, we're like progress, not perfection. And so like, I've noticed there's been a couple of times where I'm like, I'm going to start doing videos, and then I'll do it. And then the next month I'll be like, oh, that I'm overwhelmed by that. And so instead of waiting to get over my overwhelm around video, I just put my newsletter out. But I do leverage social media to then say, hey, I put out my newsletter. Here's the link to it. If you want to read it, go for it, and then subscribe if you're not already on the list. But I love, Ed, what you just said about I could leverage going live and sort of just telling the story that I wrote about in my newsletter. That feels way less overwhelming than recording it and then doing a transcript. And and so I love that. But here, like, see, we're just totally talking through, there's lots of different ways to do it. And and I think it's important to like insert your personality into it. I think
so true.
I worked in HR for 15 years. And so there was always this, like, there's a line, it's personal and then it's professional. And I would always tell managers that, like, as much as you want your employees to leave their personal life at the time clock, they can't. And so I am a big fan of, like, making sure that you're bringing yourself and your personality into
Always.
your business. Real estate is all about relationship
Yeah.
building. And it's not just like, I have these
Mhm.
certifications. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
no, like, oh, I'm from here. Oh, I'm visiting my family. Oh, I'm
Yep.
navigating these challenges, and some people feel like I don't want to be too vulnerable. And it's like, well,
Mhm.
why not? Like, so isn't
Yeah,
vulnerability what creates connection?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be more willing to share
Mhm.
about themselves as a prospect. And then when you close a deal
Yeah.
with them, or even if you don't, like they're going to feel connected. They're going to be more willing to be like, oh, this isn't just your typical
Yeah.
real estate agent. This is a person that really, really cares about you. And so integrate little glimpses into
Mhm.
your personality and what you're sending out. Like I put my one of my favorite videos at the end, like a music video. Music is a big thing for me. It's a part of our summit. So
I love
usually at
it.
the end, I'll be like, oh, here's one of my favorite songs. And I put like why I love the song. And I put a link to the YouTube video. And often it's the most clicked on link, which, maybe that's not a good strategy for conversion, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm detached from that. And it's
Well, and I
just a
think it's
little
cool
bright
too,
spot.
because if I heard that song and I heard it from your email list, it's like that reticular activator, right? And
Exactly.
so
Yes.
I'm a big, because of what I do with client care nurturing, I'm a big believer in that long-term strategy because that's where
Yes.
it pays off. Like I
Yeah.
think so often salespeople in general, but real estate agents are so guilty of it. We get so focused on the next 90 days and generating leads for that, which is awesome and absolutely stay there. But when you can think about that long-term strategy and you can start really plugging and playing and providing that value, that's where you never know when someone's going to circle back, like you're saying. And that man in your story who was like, I'm on your email list. And so now he's got a connection and some trust built up
Yep.
because you were authentic. And you were so authentic that when he met you, like he felt enough connection to be able to disclose that. Like, I
Yeah.
just think it's so cool how even it could be 10 years from now that you meet that guy and maybe he turns into a client after 10 years because now he met you, you've connected. I don't know.
Right.
It's just, it's so cool. And I love what you're saying about authenticity because in the real estate realm, you want to make sure that you are being authentically you because people read through that so quick, right?
Yeah.
If you are not that rah salesperson, don't show up that way because it's going to show up in your email marketing, on
Yes.
your social, everything.
Yes.
And people are going to read it. But when you're authentically you
Yes.
and you can show up that way, gosh, people connect, they build the trust, and then the work is done. Then
Yeah.
you just have to follow up. Easy peasy.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like just yeah, keep it soulfully simple,
Yep.
folks.
Yes.
The
That's it.
It's so
KISS
true.
method.
Yeah.
Love it.
Before we wrap up here, we'll just kind of circle back to kind of sum things up here. So, growing our email list from social, a couple quick recap pointers or new tips, whatever you want, Allison, just to help people who are either getting started or are already started, but they just need that refresher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one thing is remember, like, what are you likely to sign up for?
Mhm.
Right. And I think it's important if you have the belief like, oh, I don't sign up for things, you might want to reevaluate your own beliefs.
Yeah.
Because if you're a person who's like, oh, I don't like to sign up for things, or I don't give time to people that want to have a conversation with me, you might need to evaluate your own beliefs around sales and marketing.
Yep.
Because if you think salespeople are slimy, you might be unconsciously showing up that way, or you might be unconsciously resistant
Yeah.
in your own sales conversation. So one of the things, I know this isn't about email, but it sort of relates. If you are a person who feels like you hang up on salespeople, karma's a thing, peeps. So
Such a good
uh,
point.
yeah, like lean into practicing kindness, compassion, and the golden rule, and don't be rude, because you're
Yeah.
gonna like your actions will beget those actions towards yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would say, be really mindful of like, well, what are the things that you really would sign up for
Mhm.
around an area that you're interested in, and also remember that like you are more of an expert than the
Mhm.
people that you're attracting. So I see often people are like, well, like who's going to want to know that information? That's just common knowledge. It's like, well, it's
Oh,
common for
such a good
you.
point.
Yes.
So, like the things that you could get people to sign up for is probably stuff that is so simple to you. right? Like, get these tips, or, here are these resources. It doesn't even need to be stuff that like is, it's already out on the internet, but you're compiling it and they're going to get it from a person they know, like, and trust. And so
true.
finding those
Good
things
point.
that would be really, really easy for you to compile and say, hey, I've got these tips. It may not be putting all the tips on social media. It could be like, hey, I've got 10 tips. Here's 3 of them. Click this to opt in to get the rest of them. So you're giving them value. And then you're going to say, hey, click here, give me your email address, and you'll get even more value. So it's always about
Win-win.
value. Win-win, exactly. Have a platform, and
Mhm.
don't, like, I'm not a fan of necessarily saying like, don't go with the free platform, but if you don't know what you're doing, a free platform may not give you the service. The thing I love about Constant Contact is that any of the platforms that you choose, any of the levels of service that you choose with them, you have access to their customer service. They've won awards
Nice.
for customer service. Like, I hang my business name on Constant Contact's business name because, I mean, they're the best culture I'd ever worked for. So it's like, it's a really, really great company. And that says a lot from somebody whose like job was to create culture for 15 years. So, and don't just, don't get overwhelmed, because those tools have so many features, like any technology tool.
Yep.
So don't be afraid of investing a little bit of money to learn how to do the thing. So obviously you can reach out to me, let me know that you saw me on Ed Show, and, I'll cut you a little deal. I don't
There
know
you
what that
go.
is, but, but my goal is to like help people see how easy and effortless and like, comfortable it can be to just
Yeah.
implement email marketing strategies.
Yeah.
And then use your email list, right? Even if
Yes.
it's just once a month,
Yep.
use the list. And even if you haven't sent something for 6 months, go send something, right?
Yes.
And there are always reasons to send.
And now's a great time.
Yes,
Now
it's
is
a
an
great
awesome time to connect.
Yeah, now's a great time. Like, happy holidays, or like, share
Gratitude
your
for the year.
yeah, like, share your own recap for the
Mhm.
year. Share your inspirations.
Or
Ask
your
them
goals for 2022. So
exactly.
many things.
Yes, exactly. So, like, think about what are the kinds of things that you love to read this time of year. Do that. Like,
Yes.
do that. It's easy, people.
Or your top 10 Christmas movies, or
Yeah,
your favorite
exactly.
places in your area to eat on New Year's or
Right.
something. There's so many fun
Yeah,
things you can do.
exactly. You like your favorite things about this time of year. I love driving into our neighborhood and seeing all the holiday lights on the it's
Yeah.
just, so beautiful. And Fort Collins is just so pretty, like, lit up in the winter time. They do the whole old town main street, like,
Oh, fun.
all lit up.
Oh,
It's
see,
gorgeous.
that
It's
would be cool. And that's something like video hat. That's something that could be done with a cool video. Like, I mean, I know that I'm not going to give away the surprise, but let's just say that some people are going to get a video message from me soon, and it was fun to do it. And that was something for me. I was like, I could just type this, but I'm the video guy. So why
Yeah.
not make it the video, right? And so I'm picturing like that downtown space with like just this winter wonderland. And how cool would that be to see it, like just
Yeah.
really see it? And maybe even because the real estate agents, you could go in and highlight a business and
Yeah.
make that connection so that then you stand out
Mhm.
more to that local business and be able to be that top of mind resource. So
Well, and a quick and easy thing that it's providing value to your community, right? So
yes,
maybe on your email, it's, hey, my favorite things are to eat blueberry scones from this bakery,
yes,
and to go see the lights in downtown Fort Collins. And then you can go to downtown Fort Collins and say, see why I see this? And I got my blueberry scone, check it out. And then that way
Yes.
community gets like, oh, I haven't seen the lights. We got to go see the lights. It's
Yes. I
not
love that.
salesy. It's
Yeah.
nurturing. You're providing
Yes.
value, and maybe you tell them the top places to go see lights or something, and then
Yeah.
they have a reason to want to click on you. Now I'm a big believer in permission marketing. Now you've provided value. You can ask for the sale, right? You've done
Mhm.
your part. You've given. Now you can receive. Should they be in that spot? So, gosh, so many good things from that.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying because you're targeting real estate. I know Ed's probably like watching the time, like, we got to wrap up,
yes,
ladies.
I know. It's like, would you
you
ladies
you
stop
brought a
it?
third one in, so here we are.
yep,
But no,
yep,
I love that. One more thing, like, I think especially because you're working with real estate agents, and it is all about that local flair, that local
Yeah.
connection. Like, I love that idea of the blueberry scone. Like, find the bakery owner and like get a picture of them, right? Like, show that you are integrated into the community, not just by being like, here's my favorite business, but like creating the connection with that business owner.
You can even say, let's partner together.
Yes,
we offer
exactly.
50 cents off for all my clients, and then you send an email and say, hey, here's my favorite blueberry scone. Show them my email and they'll give you a quarter off or whatever.
Something fun. Exactly.
Easy.
Yes. Look at
so
this.
True.
Oh my gosh, we should. Can I come in like once a month?
Yes,
I know.
To the chat.
Yes,
I love it.
I know. I'm like, wow, this is good. This is why you tune into the show. We love it.
This
and
is fun.
I'm gonna
We'll have to do special guests more often. This is cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pop up your website there so everyone can see Allison for the upcoming summit. And that is on the web or in the comments as well, but it's getsoulfulsuccess.com. So anybody tuning in, you can go there and take a look at what's coming up. I will say that there are some amazing people that I've met, some I haven't even met yet, but it's definitely going to be a great event with a lot of amazing business owners that I'm looking forward to this for sure.
Super cool.
And Amanda, Allison, we want to thank you so much for joining us. And we appreciate you taking the time to be here and to share your tips around growing your social media or growing your email list through social media. And we thank you so much and appreciate you being here.
Yeah, for sure. And you're welcome to drop my scheduling link down in the video comments too. Would Perfect. Love to, if anybody has some burning questions on your heart about email marketing, I'm here for all of that.
Excellent. And was that the same link that you sent, Amanda?
Yep.
Perfect.
Cool.
I'll go ahead and drop that in there for everyone so you have it. So if you're just listening, that's going to be on the Facebook or LinkedIn in the comments for you, and you'll be able to schedule some time with Allison on her calendar there. So thank you so much, Allison, for joining us, and we thank all of you for tuning into this episode. We'll be back next Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific here on the social channels. If you need anything in between, feel free to reach out to us and leave us a comment anytime. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.